Gaza, rockets are launched from Gaza Strip to Israel. Jerusalem, sirens wailed just before the Jewish holiday of Shavuot began on Sunday evening, sending Chen Farag and her family once again running for cover as they have dozens of times over the past week since the latest war between Palestinian militants in Gaza and the Israeli military erupted. The Farags live in Ashdod, Israel's largest port on the Mediterranean coast. The city of about people is around 30 kilometers, 18 miles, north of the Gaza Strip. 6 adults, 2 dogs and a parrot huddled in their home's reinforced safe room, a routine precaution for hundreds of thousands of Israelis in the country's south. After an explosion shook the building, they rushed outside to see cars on fire, including their own. Their home's front door had been blown off, windows were blasted and shrapnel was embedded in walls. "We are in shock. It's a nightmare," said Farag, a 24-year-old cable technician. "It's hard to sleep, because we are thinking, what if Gaza tries to hit us again?" The cycle of fighting and ceasefires has repeated itself numerous times in the past 15 years since the first rockets were fired at southern Israel from the Gaza Strip. The barrages have caused deep frustration for residents, many worry over what they see as the government's failure to change to the situation. Many children who have grown up in the area suffer from trauma-related issues. Since the latest war erupted last week, Palestinian militants have fired more than rockets at Israeli cities. Most were intercepted or fell short in Gaza, but hundreds made it through. The Farag home is one of 146 buildings in Israel that were hit by rockets fired from Gaza, according to military statistics. They include homes, apartment blocks, schools, kindergartens and an oil storage tank. When sirens signal incoming rockets, Israelis can seek shelter in communal shelters or in reinforced rooms in their apartments, a feature of newer buildings. Many have been pinned down indoors, fearing they couldn't reach shelter in time. So far, 10 people have been killed in Israel, most from rocket fire. This includes a soldier, a 5-year-old boy and 2 people who died from injuries sustained while running for cover. Paramedics say at least 106 people suffered shrapnel and blast wounds. In Gaza, at least 212 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli airstrikes, including 61 children and 36 women, with more than people wounded, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. Fighting erupted on May 10, when Hamas fired 7 rockets at Jerusalem following clashes between Israeli police and Palestinian protesters at a shrine considered holy to both Jews and Muslims. Since then, Palestinian militants have fired heavy barrages at cities deep inside Israel, and the Israeli military has carried out hundreds of strikes on targets in the Gaza Strip. For hundreds of thousands in communities in southern Israel_cities, towns, kibbutzim and farming villages _air raid sirens have been unrelenting as missiles rain down. There were 2 difficult days. "The rockets didn't stop falling," said Ronit Fergan, 47, a mother of 3 from Kfar Aza, a kibbutz just a couple of miles from the Gaza Strip. Almost everyone left the kibbutz to seek safety elsewhere. Fergan and her family are staying with relatives in the nearby town of Ofakim. Her children are too scared to use the bathroom, terrified they would get caught in a barrage, she said. "I don't know where to flee to. I am afraid of every place I need to go," she said. Fergan and other residents of the area say the past week of fighting has been far more intense than previous rounds, with Hamas firing near non-stop barrages of rockets indiscriminately into Israel. This is the 4th Israel-Hamas war since the militants seized the Gaza Strip in 2007, driving out the Palestinian Authority, which administers autonomous enclaves in the occupied West Bank. Israel and Egypt have enforced a border blockade of Gaza for the past 14 years, with the aim of preventing Hamas from building up its weapons arsenal. But despite the chokehold, the militants have been able to produce thousands of rockets, even as the blockade caused growing hardships for the tiny territory's 2 million people. On the Israeli side, Yoshige, 53, said his hometown of Ashkelon, just 11 kilometers, 6 miles, from Gaza, has been hit hard, with a couple of rockets making it through Israel's Iron Dome defense system with every barrage. "Every time you hear a couple interceptions by the Iron Dome, and 2 or 3 explosions on the ground," he said. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to press on with airstrikes against Gaza militants, as long as necessary in order to return calm and security to all Israeli citizens. Fergan says southern Israel has seen many years of neglect by the government, exacerbated by what she describes as unfinished military campaigns against Gaza militants. She criticized the government's handling of the past month of mounting tensions in Jerusalem, violence that heralded the Gaza fighting. "We are tired of this," said Farag, whose house was damaged in Ashot. Facebook Ketchup Mitalamad block test, why?